The Olympic Park bombing happened on this date. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is July 27th, 2023. It is the 208th day of the year. You got 157 days left. It is the 30th Thursday of the 30th week and the 37th day of summer. There are 58 days left until fall. Today is National Chicken Finger Day. Love that. Get ready to celebrate chicken fingers on July 27th. This day was created to honor the beloved chicken finger, a classic comfort food that has been around for decades. I like some chicken fingers. I like it with the buffalo sauce. That's the best. I used to eat them with ranch, then for some reason they came out with buffalo sauce, and that was even better. All right, let's see what else July 27th has given us. 1789, the first U.S. federal government agency, the Department of Foreign Affairs, is established. It is later renamed the Department of State. 1921, researchers at the University of Toronto, led by biochemist Frederick Banting, prove that the hormone insulin regulates blood sugar. 1929, the Geneva Convention of 1929, dealing with the treatment of prisoners of war, is signed by 53 nations. And in case you're gonna say anything about it, we did this as the deep dive last year. It's very interesting. I'd love to do it again, but we'll move on to something else. 1940, the animated short A Wild Hare is released, introducing the character Bugs Bunny. Yeah, he's been around that long. 1949, initial flight of the de Havilland Comet, the first jet-powered airliner, happens. 1959, the Continental League is announced as baseball's third major league in the United States. 1974, the Watergate scandal. The House of Representatives Judiciary Committee votes 27-11 to recommend the first articles of impeachment for obstruction of justice against President Richard Nixon. 1996, in Atlanta, a pipe bomb explodes at Centennial Olympic Park during the 1996 Summer Olympics. Now, we've talked about this one briefly in past videos, but this is very interesting. And they even came out with a movie about it that was really eye-opening. I've read a book about it, and I've read a bunch of reports. Anyway, great and horrible story at the same time. Centennial Olympic Park was designated as the town square of the Olympics, and thousands of spectators gathered for a night concert and just a good time. Sometime after midnight on July 27, 1996, Eric Robert Rudolph, a terrorist who would later bomb a lesbian nightclub and 2 abortion clinics, placed a green backpack containing a fragmentation-laden pipe bomb under a bench. Richard Jewell was a security guard working there. That's all he was. He was a guy that wanted to be a cop, but he was working as a security guard, and he found the bomb. He alerted some agents with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and 9 minutes later, after he discovered the bomb, Rudolph telephoned 911 to deliver a warning. About that time, Jewell and other security guards began clearing the immediate area so the bomb squad could investigate the suspicious package. The bomb exploded 13 minutes later, killing Alice Hawthorne and injuring more than 100 people. A cameraman also died of heart failure while running to photograph the incident. So up to this point, everything's going just like any terrorist event. You know, they tried to save people, they did all the right things, but then the investigation happened where they tried to figure out who did it. Eric Robert Rudolph didn't say it was him, he just called it in. Well, at some point they decided that poor Richard Jewell, who discovered it, was actually the one that placed it there, and he was just trying to score points so he could become a cop, so he could feel like cop, whatever. They just basically called him a cop wannabe, and it was humiliating. They drug him through the media and made him look like a total idiot, when all he was a good man trying to do his job. For several weeks after the bomb went off, the news media focused aggressively on Richard Jewell as the presumed culprit, describing him as a person of interest. The media, to varying degrees, described Jewell as a failed law enforcement officer who might have planted the bomb so he could find it and be a hero. The New York Times reported in October of 1996, when he was cleared as the suspect, a number of law enforcement officials said privately for months that they thought Jewell had been involved in the bombing, even though there was no evidence against him, and some evidence seemed to rule him out. They just ignored that, and they kept just hammering away and making him look bad. Jewell was never charged officially, but the FBI thoroughly and publicly searched his home twice, questioned associates, investigated his background, and maintained 24-hour surveillance on him. The scrutiny began to ease only after Jewell's attorney hired an ex-FBI agent to administer a polygraph, which Jewell passed. The Justice Department investigated the FBI's conduct during this whole thing, and they'd come to the conclusion that the FBI tried to get Jewell to waive his constitutional rights by telling him he was participating in a training movie about the bomb detection. Although the report concluded no initial violations of Mr. Jewell's civil rights and no criminal misconduct had occurred. It wasn't until October 26, 1996, that the U.S. Attorney in Atlanta came out and said that based on the evidence developed to date, Richard Jewell is not considered a target of a federal criminal investigation into the bombing on July 27, 1996. The letter did not include an apology, but in a separate statement issued by that Attorney General, Kent Alexander, the U.S. Justice Department regretted the leaking of the investigation. Richard Jewell did go on to work as a police officer in Pendergrass, Georgia, and he also worked as a deputy sheriff in Meriwether County, Georgia, until his death. Before his death, obviously, on July 30th, 1997, Jewell testified before a subcommittee of the U.S. House of Representatives in which he called for an independent investigation into the methods used by the FBI agents during their investigation of him. Richard Jewell was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. In February of 2007, he suffered kidney failure and other medical problems related to his diagnosis in the ensuing months. His wife Dana found him dead on the floor of their bedroom when she came home from work on August 29, 2007. He was only 44 years old. An autopsy found that the cause of death was severe heart disease. Such an incredibly sad story. The movie, if you ever get a chance, it's got Sam Rockwell in it. It's a good movie. It kind of, in case you don't want to read a book on it or anything like that, it's a good way of finding out what they did to this man. It was horrible. 2005, after an incident with STS-114, NASA grounds the space shuttle, pending an investigation into the continuing problem with the shedding of foam insulation from external fuel tanks. Movies released on July 27th. Really nothing terribly exciting. There was one movie that came out that I thought was interesting. It was called Nerve. I don't suggest many of you watch it. Basically, there's a new app out, like, in Facebook or whatever, but you will put up what you're willing to do, like some kind of stunt, jump off a 2-story building into a swimming pool, and people will donate money. And once you hit the peak or whatever you put down for $400, I'm going to do this. So people across the world with their phones would donate money or whatever, give money to this, and then they get to see the access. They get to see you do it. If they don't get money, they don't get to watch it. So it turns into this thing where all these kids are just trying more intense things and people are getting hurt and just all kinds of weird stuff. From that point of view, it's kind of an interesting movie, but I think it could have been done better. Born on July 27, 1972, Mya Rudolph, Saturday Night Live cast member from 2000 to 2007, who also co-starred in the smash hit comedy Bridesmaids in 2011. She also starred on the NBC sitcom Up All Night from 2011 to 2013 and has appeared in both the Adam Sandler grown-up movies. In 2018, she began starring as Jane in the Amazon series Forever. She attended the University of California, Santa Cruz, where she graduated in 1995 with a BA in photography. I found this amazing. I don't know if I said it on this channel before, but her mom was soul singer Minnie Riperton, and her father was composer, singer-songwriter Richard Rudolph. If you don't know who Minnie Riperton is, she sang that song Loving You, and her voice gets all high-pitched. It's a great song from the 1970s, but I had no idea that was her mom till just recently, a couple months back. Died on this date, 2003, we lost Bob Hope, legendary vaudeville comedian, radio personality, and actor who entertained military personnel in 57 USO tours between 1942 and 1991. He pioneered a form of self-deprecating humor, performed hundreds of acts per year during the height of his career. He hosted the Academy Awards 14 times and appeared in over 70 films and shorts. Johnny Carson hated him as a guest. He said he was great at telling jokes and, doing his lines in a movie and making them really funny, and that was all great, but his improv skills and be able to hold an entertaining conversation was painfully awkward and slow. If they were having Bob Hope on, he would tell whoever the other guests were, or Ed McMahon, that they needed to step up their game because Bob is boring. On the morning of July 27, 2003, Bob Hope died of pneumonia at his home in Toluca Lake, California, 2 months after his 100th birthday. As he was getting older, I guess it was a family conversation, his grandson, Zach Hope, told it to TV interviewer Soledad O'Brien when they said, well, where do you want to be buried? And he said, surprise me. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.